Hello, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with the director and writer of Psycho Goreman, as well as The Void. Now, I split the interviews into two parts. The first interview was about Psycho Goreman, which was released yesterday. Now, this interview, which is specifically on the topic of The Void, I'm releasing today. Now, you can find some links to various social medias and websites to support Stephen Kostanski and just relevant social medias and things like that down below. But I hope you enjoy this. I'm a big fan of The Void. I've reviewed it twice here on the channel. So please do check it out. If you enjoy it, give it a big thumbs up, and please do share it, as the traction that these get helps me pitch future interviews to other filmmakers. If you like it and you want to see me interview more, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks. Enjoy. Like I said, because there's so many people on my channel that have watched my reviews of of both films, to be fair, they've both done really well, and I know people have watched Psycho Goreman as a result of my review. And like I watched The Void and I reviewed it in 2017, and that review got about 30,000 views, which is I was really quite surprised by, because to me it was a film that popped up out of nowhere, and I love it. Like I'm a massive Lovecraft fan. There's Lovecraftian Cthulhu's up there, and like I'm a big Lovecraft fan. So I saw this and I was like, yes, I like that. That's cool.
Wait, if we're talking about The Void, here, this guy can hang out with me.
Yes, that's the daughter at the end, isn't it?
Or as we call them on set, the fetus monster.
That's so cool.
What this smells like?
How has it stayed so long? What was it made out of? Because
it's foam latex and it's backed with polyfoam. It was actually sculpted over a hockey helmet. So the guy who played the creature, you put the helmet on, and then we'd slide this on, and it's got little like Velcro tabs.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Velcro on. And
that's insane.
Some like tiny little holes in the mask that see and breathe out of, but does not smell good.
No, I can't imagine it does, to be honest. But I saw that film and I absolutely loved it, and it got really good views back when I reviewed it back then. And then last year, it's weird to say 2020's last year now, but it is last year. We hadn't had movies released, as we were discussing with Psycho Goreman, and I watched it again because I think it was on Amazon. I think it was on Amazon. I can't remember, but it was on one of my streaming subscribers that I've got. And I thought, God damn, like I really do love this film. And I did a re-review. It's the only film I've ever re-reviewed. I've never done it before. And I did it, and I didn't think anyone. I just really enjoyed the film, so I wanted to talk about it again. But I didn't think anyone would actually watch it, because obviously they've already seen it once. They've seen my thoughts on it once before, and it still did really well. And it goes to show that, I mean, we spoke about Psycho Goreman and saying the right time, and you mentioned The Void didn't do particularly well, and I think we're almost. If that was released now, maybe with the increase of sort of Lovecraft and the zeitgeist and things like that, maybe it would do a bit better. Or do you think it's done so well because it's become a bit of a cult classic?
I think it's a movie that just needed time. It just needed to like get out there and need to simmer with people a bit. I will say, and it's not saying it didn't like necessarily do well when it came out. I just found at our world premiere, the response was a little tepid, in my opinion. I think people, and this is a symptom of every movie. It's like the same as people watching PG and being like, "Why isn't that more like The Void?" And it's like, well, because they're different movies. That's why. Yeah. So people are watching The Void and being like, "Why isn't this like Manborg or Father's Day? Like, where's the humor? And like, why isn't it fun?" And so, like, it's like battling people's kind of unreasonable expectations every time you make a movie. It's like, like we couldn't have been more overt about the type of movie we were making, and yet still people like translated like them being blindsided by it being not what they expected into, oh, well, this is a bad movie because it's not the movie I wanted it to be. With The Void, just giving people time to simmer on it and like figure out what kind of movie it is, allows them to like maybe appreciate it with a bit of perspective.
But I think so. I think that's interesting, isn't it? Because you're talking about the dynamic of people that follow you as a creator, right? Rather than people that are coming across the film and are reviewing it with an open, unbiased view. So I think that's the dynamic that you need to sort of, well, in that regard, it is separate, isn't it? You know, where people were following you as a creator, but they expected what they wanted from you as the creator, rather than what you wanted to then go off and do each time. You know, and then just, I mean, The Void was my first experience of you as a filmmaker. So if you hadn't made that, would I have then watched Psycho Goreman? You know, it's an interesting question to sort of pose, isn't it?
Yeah, you raise a good point that like there's kind of multiple parts to the spectrum of like dealing with fans of your work, and then also just random people checking out your project as well. Because with The Void, it certainly like brought in lots of new fans like over the years. Like even before PG was like it had been announced, but there weren't any trailers or anything. Like I got like a huge slew of requests for interviews and stuff over a short period of time for The Void specifically, like years after the fact. And so I think it's a movie that I think because of its specific tone, it's like cosmic horror tone, it's like carved out a little niche for itself. So when people are like reading Lovecraft, or I wonder also if it has something to do with like survival horror games, like because that's such a big market now. Maybe that might be a gateway for some people into this kind of horror story. And that can lead them down a path that gets them to The Void potentially. I don't know. It's like it's impossible for me to predict this stuff.
Yeah,
you just got to go out and make the thing you want to make, and hope that somebody likes it.
True.
And not worry too much about like appealing to any kind of market specifically.
Yeah.
Like all the movies I've made, I feel like even like PG or The Void, like there's definitely could have been a scenario where those movies were made more accessible and more like audience friendly, but we chose to. It's like the priority was to make the thing we wanted to make, tell the story we wanted to tell, and so I think some of the like, tepid responses like are a result of that, because we're not playing into this game of like, hitting all 4 quadrants or whatever. With our marketability of our movie.
Yeah. So with The Void specifically, what was the creative process behind that? What inspired you to write The Void?
Well, it was me and Jeremy Gillespie, who I co-wrote, co-directed with. We were at a film festival at the world premiere of Manborg, talking about like, what do we want to do next? This is way back in 2011. And we both bonded over this idea of like what if we actually tried to make a real horror movie? Because I feel like up to that point we're pretty deeply rooted in parody with Astron 6. And, there's like all those associations with that, and we were a little concerned, like, we have real stories we want to tell and like a real movie we want to make. And we were concerned that we were just going to get stuck in this box of like, oh, you just make like goofy movies and that's it.
Yeah.
So we liked the idea. It was very appealing, the idea of making a movie that was actually trying to be scary. It just seemed like a real challenge, and like an artistic challenge that we wanted to face, as opposed to just being like, well, let's just make more of the thing we've been doing. Like, it was kind of like branching off and trying something different. I admit fully that, like, for me, as we were doing it, the deeper into it we got, the more frustrated I got, because like I wanted it to be more fun, Not that that's like the right idea, but I gotta say, like, we spent like 5 years making that movie. Like, there was a lot of drama and legal stuff that we were dealing with. It was really just like going from one mess into another, trying to get this thing made. And I think just that headspace, coupled with the dark nature of the story we're trying to tell, like, was really messing with me. So it was like, I got, like, overall, while I'm very proud of the film, it was not a pleasant experience making it.
Okay.
Like, it was a pretty rough go making that movie. The shooting was great. Like, the actual, when we got to actually physically making the movie, that was great. But there was a lot of lead up and a lot of fallout at the end that was just awful. And so I think that definitely affected my mindset making the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's I'm guessing that's one of the producers. Am I right in saying that it was something to do with the producer?
Producers on the film, but it's always what it is. There's always one. There's always at least one producer on any movie that's like going to be a nightmare to deal with. Definitely fit the bill on that. But yeah, I mean, it's also like to counterpoint to that. Like, Jer and I had never made a movie this big before, and so it was a learning curve for us, and it definitely like strained our relationship making it as well. Just because it was like such an undertaking. But I don't know. Now, like, when I look back on the movie, it's like, yeah, it was hell to make, but it certainly seems to translate on screen. Like, I think the movie has a very like pervasive, dreadful tone.
It's a really impressive feat. That film's a very, very impressive film.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like we were convinced that, like, if we could inject real dread into this movie, we'll have succeeded. That was the biggest challenge, was trying to just because for that to work, your movie needs to be convincing. And we're also making a movie where there's a bunch of ambitious creature effects and things that like could run the risk of looking real stupid. And as soon as that looks stupid, the dread is gone. So it was this balancing act of like, how do we like light these things to look scary? Like how, like cutting them, like how much is showing too much, how much is showing too little. Like just trying to find these balances with all these moments to make them effective. Like how do we make these things feel scary? And that it was just a real challenge getting that.
Well, I think the sound design also played a massive role in that. The sound design for that film was great. Like the cutaways to the void part, just the sort of cutaways. It's again a really, really impressive film. It's very, very good. So I thought like there's so many people on YouTube that do these like the void ending explained, blah blah blah. So I thought I'd ask the director for you to explain the ending of your own film.
I'm very confused as to why the ending needs to be explained.
Like, well, look, people cry out for it for any movie. It seems to be the done thing. Ending explained.
I actually, not to sidebar this, but like I saw there was a video for like PG ending explained. It's like, does that need to be elaborated?
He's going off murdering the universe. What are you on about? What? With love in his heart, he's going off and murdering the universe. What?
Makes perfect sense, guys. But yeah, I feel the same way about the film. Like, I mean, like Carter tackles Powell and they go through the gate and it shuts because Powell's essentially the one opening the gate. Naturally, he's the one to shut. And they end up in Void World, whatever that place is. But like beyond that, what else needs to be elaborated on?
Yeah, true. I mean, that does remove the sort of that dread and sort of cosmic nature and power of it all, doesn't it? Towards the end.
Well, I mean, that's not to say like I'm not going to say what the pyramid is, that giant black floating pyramid, like, and what that represents. Like, half the fun of this is seeing what people glean from it. Yeah. And like, I like the idea that people are even thinking about it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, beyond just like the basics of like what's happening on screen, like I can't really elaborate on anything else because that's up for people to figure out themselves. I like the idea of making it what they want it to be.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. That's quite good.